we're going to go into season 2, episode 8, the finale of season 2. So this is your spoiler warning. And I do have to stress that this isn't going to be a fully detailed 40-minute video on why certain things happen, certain details. This is just a opinion on the surface level. If you want to go into more detail, I'd be happy to discuss it in the comments down below. So we start off with Tywin Lannister. I believe he's in Mere. I don't know. There's so many damn things happening in this season that I don't even know when they agreed with this. I think it happened in episode 3, 4. And he's discussing with these captains, and he's trying to get more of an advantage in the seafront. We're introduced to this new character, and we're met with Lohar. And quite honestly, her dialogue and just her character itself reminds me of Euron Greyjoy from Game of Thrones, the show. If I made videos back then, you would know that I really hate that character because Euron felt like a parody or a joke character. It's the type of character that's built to lighten the mood, to make it more, take the relief off of your shoulders. Like kind of like Marvel puts in those characters where they just make jokes and they don't give anything to the plot other than coming in at the last minute and saving certain characters. That's what Lothar feels like. And then we have Ulf, which honestly, I really don't like this character. Not in a way like Lothar, in a way that you can tell the way that he's being written that he's going to do something that will piss you off. And I really like that. I really like characters like this because, and I'm trying my best not to spoil it, just for the people who are only watching the show. I have read the books and I'm doing my best not to spoil it. But Ulf here, I feel like, is a good character that is a great setup to what's going to happen later. And speaking of setups, we'll talk about how this whole season just didn't feel like a season. It felt really like a setup season. We also get Sir Criston Cole, who looks like a shell of himself. Before, he was this conniving character that was always up to something and just spiteful, always hating on Rhaenyra and her character overall. And now he's become this humbled and beat down soldier who just now figured out that this whole war, he's just a tool. And I really like this. It's the fact that this character realizes that the fact that he saw these dragons just wipe out people with a simple exhale of their breath really puts him down to earth, and he suddenly becomes more philosophical in a sense that he's not as big as he is. And then we have Daemon's character here, who quite honestly, a lot of people really didn't like the Harrenhal episodes, but after watching this episode, I actually kind of enjoyed it. It's a character arc for Daemon where in the first season he was just all about wanting the throne, and now we get a scene where he finally gets humbled himself as well. Like, he realizes that his claim for the throne is nothing. And if you take away the horrible season 8 and that long night episode, this is a great scene. Okay, think about it. Take that, just try your best to take that stupid last season of Game of Thrones out of your mind and just see this episode as what it is. Thinking about this instead of what he wants, he's becoming more selfless rather than selfish. And I really like this scene. But to the people who have watched Game of Thrones, really hate this scene because it becomes undone because of what season 8 has done. But yeah, it leads to Daemon finally truly bending the knee to Rhaenyra, not just because he feels like he needs to, but he wants to. This is what he truly wants now, to be united with Rhaenyra. This is a great scene. Just don't think about season 8. We have this scene with Corlys and Adam, who finally are getting on a frickin' boat. And by the way, these guys are meant to be the best voyagers, the best sailors, the best army on the seas. and we haven't seen them on the ship. We've just seen them slowly build the ship. And you know what? That's fine, but that's one of my huge complaints about this show, is that it's just a setup, a slow burn for the next season. And we'll get into that later, but to go back to the episode, we have Alan here just spilling his guts to Corlys Velaryon, and I really, really love this scene just because it adds more depth to Alan, where yes, he is a captain of Corlys Velaryon's army, but he's been pushed aside. He's had to fight his way up there, unlike his son and daughter who was basically just given it. But he feels like he has the right, and Corlys tries to give him that right, but Alan's like, no, I don't want it, because this is what I truly deserve. I want to earn everything. I don't want to be given it. But he's also letting Corlys know that you've done something terrible to me and my brother, and I really, really enjoy that. And then we have another scene where another character sneaks off to the enemy's castle to do something. And I'm honestly getting tired of this. I get it. They're close. My complaint isn't the travel to Dragonstone or King's Landing. My problem is the fact that this happens way too often. Like, I get it. There's millions of people in King's Landing, and there's a lot of people in Dragonstone, yada yada. But my problem is this happens way too freaking often. Like, wouldn't there be a higher security after the first attempt? But no, apparently people just go ahead. They were like, sure, let's just go back in there. Why not? We're not at war or anything. And it felt like the whole season we're not at war, other than Rook's Rest. A lot of people here are going to disagree with what I'm about to say with Alicent. I really like this whole scene because before, if you watch my previous reviews, I didn't like how Alicent's scenes in majority of the season was just her moping and disagreeing with the council. Now that we finally got a conclusion to after all that sleepwalking, where she finally decides, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I really enjoyed the scene. The setup was great, but my God, it took way too long to finally for something to be done. But with that in mind, do I like the conclusion of it? No, I do not. I do not like the fact that Alicent putting aside her family for the realm. I think this makes her an even worse character. Like, for example, with Cersei, at the end of the day, she's a pretty vile character, but she had her morals in check. She did this for her family. Every time her family died, she mourned, she cried. With Alicent, it's kind of like, man, I really don't like my kids. And that's what makes her character even worse, to be honest. She'd rather destroy everything that she created just because she's doing it for the good of the realm. Like, let's be real here. If it was a real mother, she would do anything for her children. And you can argue, yeah, but the realm is her child. No, it's not. She doesn't give a shit about the realm. Where in any of this season has she said the realm is her child? Like, she cares about the realm. She only cares about giving her opinion, and that's really it. But overall, this season was good. Like I said, the writing, which I've complained about, was bad. Watching it as a whole, or seeing this whole season as a whole, made me realize that this season had good writing. It was good. Not the best, not as good as season 1. My problem with this season isn't the writing. I think seeing this as a whole, my problem was this season took way too damn long. It felt like this whole season was a setup to season 3. What I mean by that is that nothing happened here in this season other than getting their armies. In Game of Thrones, things happened every episode. For example, in one episode of Game of Thrones, let's just pull a random memory. Oh, perfect. Theon Greyjoy, aka Reek, escapes the Dreadfort. And then this happens, I believe, around the midpoint of the episode. And by the end of the episode, almost gets caught, and then somebody saves him. That happens within an episode. Whereas this season, things happen very slowly. Like, Daemon's been chilling at Harrenhal this whole time, and then we finally get the conclusion by the end of the season. That's crazy. That's why I believe this season a lot of people are complaining about, because it just felt slow, and it was really all a setup for the next season. And that's why in my video I said I'm not excited for this episode, because I know that it's just going to be a setup for next season. And then what's going to happen next? Next season's going to be a setup for the next season. My point is, I would like eventful things to happen within the season. I would want a lot of these stories and conclusions to happen within the season. I don't like it when I'm being dragged to the next season. It feels like I'm being dragged, as opposed to, for example, Game of Thrones. Yes, there is an overarching story, but there are certain arcs in those seasons that make the seasons entertaining to watch. Whereas this show just feels like this whole thing is stretched out, and there's just one arc, and it's just being stretched out through all the seasons rather than each season of its own. Like, if you were to ask me an eventful thing that happened in season 2, you'll tell me that it was Rook's Rest. I will tell you that every single season in Game of Thrones, something eventful happened. But quite honestly, I do have my problems with this show, but it is still a good show. It is still a good show. I feel like I have to say that, because people think, when I criticize this show, people think, oh, he thinks this is the worst show ever. It's not true. You can criticize something that you love. And I really love this show. I really love Game of Thrones, and this show is really great. But I wish they can fix some of these things. I wish they can, instead of make it 4 seasons, it should be just 3 seasons. Because now we're left with a very, very small amount of butter, and they're just trying to spread that on all of these pieces of bread, and it's just not working for me. It's good, but my lord, it is really, really a drag. But yeah, that was the last episode of season 2, and now we gotta wait another 2 years for the next season, so that one can drag us along. But on the bright side, we are getting Dunk and Egg next year, so that's gonna be fun. I really like that book, so it's gonna be exciting. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. We were so close to 1,000 subscribers. We just hit 500 last week, and now we're at 532. So if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and comment down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Please let me know. Like I said, I don't really like to go into too much detail, because I don't like my videos to be 30 to 40 minutes, because I know everyone has lives. So if you just want to discuss and get your point out, please comment down below and we will discuss. Yes, I'm aware this is the last season of House of the Dragon. So what is going to be the content for next week? I'd like to review certain shows, but the truth is, I still need to fine tune it a little bit more. So for now, it's just going to go back to the format of video games. So if you like that stuff, if you like video game essays, then that's pretty much the content you'll be getting from here. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.